All right, cool. We live. Hey, welcome back, gentlemen. Great to have you for another week on our Black Men Raising Daughters series. This is part two. If anybody's listening, jumped on this early with us, and you missed part one, which was the delivery room, go back and watch that Facebook replay. You can easily catch us and listen to just really the opening of this series, talking about black men, the stereotype that black men, first of all, don't raise children, that we're deadbeat dads, that we don't pay child support, all the negative stereotypes surrounding black men. We dispelled a lot of those myths last week, and we will continue to do that each and every week that we're on for this 8-part series. But tonight we're talking about black men raising daughters. Tell her she's pretty and all the good things about herself. We really want to focus on identity. There is this adage that is I've heard a few times. It says that a, a girl's identity is formed by her father. Now, I haven't read that in any psychology book. I haven't read that in any self-help book, but I've just heard that added several times that a girl's identity is formed by her father. So I want to kind of touch in on that tonight. And then I have two special guests I'm about to introduce. I want them to also talk about ways in which they affirm their daughters. Many of us know that the book exists, five love languages, and words of affirmation is one of those love languages. And affirming your daughter at an early age is something that I know Murph will probably talk about tonight. He's our psychologist, our therapist on the show. And he'll probably dive into a few questions related to identity. But we just really want to focus on how important it is that we affirm our daughters and shape her identity so that when she enters into the real world, one, she knows who she is, and two, she knows where she came from. So tonight, I want to introduce our two special guests. Jason Gary is here. He's a couple of rows over to my right, and then Larry Tolson is here with us tonight. Both these two gentlemen have daughters, and it's exciting to see again black men on this show each week talk about their experiences being fathers and their experiences raising daughters. So, Jason, Larry, I do appreciate you jumping in with the fellas tonight as we dive into this topic. Jay, I want to start with you, and then want Larry to answer the same question. Tell us about the importance of words of affirmation when it comes to your daughter, and then the types of words of affirmation that you have consistently and constantly share with her, probably since she came out the womb.
Sure. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you, Jay, for doing this series. I think it's important and vital for our community. As far as words, for my daughter Chelsea, I just try to pour positive and love into her with the words that I use for her. I mean, used to for I give to her. Like I tell her I love her all the time. I tell her that she's pretty. I tell her that she's smart. I usually tell her that she's smart before I tell her that she's pretty. Um, I do that so that she doesn't. I don't know how to explain, but it's just like so you don't feel your value is in your beauty, and I want to instill that true beauty comes from being a person within yourself and being helpful to others and being humble. Yeah, you can always have the confidence in that you're beautiful, but like if you're conceited about it and arrogant, that makes you ugly. And I knew girls like that, especially girls in high school, who were like that, like, oh, why are you talking to me? Da, da, da. And I don't want her to be like that. So I try to pour positive words to her. I love you. You're pretty. She just got her hair done today by her mom. So she was like, how's my hair? I'm like, oh my goodness, you look amazing. I use different words, try to use, uh, different words that, mean the kind of the same thing. So it's kind of build the vocabulary up that way too. But I just try to pour into her love and positivity because this world will attack her and will try to tear her down. So she has that good foundation, she'll be fine. And also, the good thing is, my wife and her aunt, both her aunts, and all the women in her her life are just they just pour into her and strengthen her too. And the men in our family too. They're all my friends, Jay. I mean, all my line brothers, everybody. They really pour into all the love into her too. So that helps. Like really, it's a community effort, and you have to have good people around you who are not gonna be like, you know, you should probably straighten her hair. Like, nah, Slim. Like, that's the way, she's fine. Like you're gonna come
Mm-hmm.
across those dudes who are like, oh, you need to straighten her hair. Her hair is too, like people are really still like that. And so, you just got to be mindful of the people you have around your daughter and the energy that they're bringing to her, and their hang-ups on certain things. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm very mindful about that. And if I feel like, you're in any type of way are going to speak negatively about like black women or just women in general, yeah, you're not around my daughter. So
Mm.
yeah, that's
Yeah, I
that's
appreciate you
about
sharing
it.
it. Yeah, that's a great foundation. And speaking of a foundation, Larry, tell us a little bit about, what things you've been practicing with your daughter, man, since she came out your wife's womb, as it relates to words of affirmation, and how you have consistently been able to, make sure that she hears the right things. Because Jay mentioned earlier, there's so much in the world that she's going to hear that she's probably going to be confused as to, well, what the hell am I supposed to believe?
I know that's a good thing. That's a good question. Foremost, thank you for inviting me on. But the more and more I think about it, I think I'm traditional. My dad raised 4 or 5 girls, and I see myself following his footsteps as well. But he was stern. I'm stern with her, so I don't let her get away with everything either. But when she's right, I praise her for it. I tell her, um, you did a great job. She's 2. She's almost 2, so I can't dive in it too crazy. But when she's right, I praise her. I don't try to go overboard, but when she's wrong, I'm stern about it. No, don't do that. You know why you did it. Try to talk to her that way. Um, but what definitely when she looks nice, I try to praise her about that too. I tell her I love her a lot. That's one thing that my wife instilled on me, and that definitely crossed down to raising my kids. When she wakes up, I tell her I love her. When she goes to sleep, after grace, after prayer, and it just kills me now when I see her close her hands for prayer. She knows it. So I know she's like a sponge. So I try not to um, expose her to any negativity right now. I know it's going to come down the road. So as far as like TV, cartoons, even adult shows, I try to wait until like she goes to sleep. Just I don't want her to see it, because she's like a sponge right now. I see her with everything she does. So um, I just don't want to expose her to a lot right now. All the adult things. I try to keep it all on the kiddie side right now, But I'm stern with her too. I don't let her get away with anything either, But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
she takes it well. She takes it well,
Good,
And
good, good.
she gravitates towards me too that way too. So I know it's working.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna ask one more question, and I want Lamar and Murph and Reggie and Fred to jump in with questions too for our special guest tonight. If you're just tuning in for the first time tonight, we're talking part 2, Black men raising daughters. Tell her she's pretty and all the good things about herself. Reggie, not Reggie, but sorry, Larry. I want to come back to you with this question, and then Jason, I want you to answer, and then I want the other gentleman to ask some additional questions. Um, I love the fact that you said that she gravitates
Yeah.
you. And that goes back to the adage that I read in the beginning of the show that said a young girl's identity is shaped by her father. Talk a little bit about what things that you make sure you practice in front of your daughter because you know she's paying attention to you.
Yeah. Definitely. All the good things, the grace, cleaning up behind yourself, throwing things in the trash, all those little key things, someone can overlook, I don't try to push too much on her, but I want to groom her in the way that, she can take care of herself. She'd be independent. Um, One thing that we do, we let her throw away her diapers. I let her know
Mhm,
where the trash can is.
mhm,
Clean up behind yourself. That's a big thing in my house, man.
mhm.
I'm not up there with you yet, Jason. I'm just turned 36, but I don't want to be chasing around her too many more years. I want her to clean up behind herself. I'm ready to sit back and relax now. So that's one thing that I want to instill in her right now for sure.
Yeah, that's a good practice. I love that. Cleaning up after yourself, taking responsibility. Jason, what about you? Same question. What things do you practice on almost on a daily basis because you know your daughter is watching your every move?
For me, um, I agree with Larry. Some of the stuff she's getting, well, she got when she was 2, but she went to a Montessori school, and so they do a lot of that where they're cleaning up after themselves, throwing the trash away, different things like that. So she's doing it in school, and then also is being reinforced at home. Um, but for me, I try to just I don't know, just like do different things with her. Like I cook with her. Um, I when we're cooking the food, I ask her to taste it and tell me what she tastes. Um, I want her palate to be extensive. Um, she eats her favorite foods are sushi and Indian food. I don't want her to be a chicken fingers girl and like, or you go to Morton's and something, they order chicken fingers off the kids menu. That's a blower, dog. So I want
Yeah,
her to be able to be like, what's the specials tonight? How's that going to be prepared? I want to be
Wow.
that chick. And so
Wow.
like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I cook with her, I read with her, and we're starting to give her more chores. She's kind of clumsy, but it's okay. Yeah, hopefully she'll grow out of it. But like putting the trash in the trash bag in the trash can, getting the trash in her room, cleaning up her room. I'm going to teach her how to vacuum. She's 5, by the way. Sorry. So she's 5, and so I'm gonna teach her about vacuuming and stuff, and just uh
hey,
I also try to be really good to my wife and not let her see us argue.
yeah,
That's very
sure,
important.
sure.
The way that she sees the way that I interact with Monique, my wife, is very important. Even when we're just playing around, she'll get in between us and be like, "Stop fighting," because she thinks we're fighting, but we're not. We're just like, "Oh yeah, that's what you think you're gonna do?" Like, we're just playing around. We're not. We don't really argue. That's why I married her, because we don't really argue. But how you relate to your wife, woman, is so important to your daughter, because that's how she sees how she should be treated. And another thing is, like, she emulates my wife. Like, she will tell Mo, "I want to be like you," right? And so
Mm.
if she's saying that, then I have to be able to show her how her mom is supposed to be treated. So I try to treat her, cook dinner, do all the things that she knows. I shower her, with everything. But she also sees her as a strong woman. And so, I try to be that good dad, be that good husband for her, and so that she sees that. And I try to do little things, with music and how the music she listens to, and how to like calm down, breathing, yoga, all that stuff. It's helpful for her to make sure she's a well-rounded person, and also, well, now, right before COVID hit, this is kind of the blower. She was about to start in the children's choir, and now she, it's it got ixnayed. So and now we watch church. It's kind of hard for her because she likes being in the service and singing and seeing the people sing and praising God and everything like that, and that's very important too. So I try to instill that relationship with God that she needs to have and everything like that. So a lot of the
Yeah,
same
Jay
things
Gary,
Larry
I
does.
appreciate it.
I'm not as stern. I'm not as stern. I'm sorry for talking so much, but go
No,
ahead.
I appreciate that.
If,
I
if
want to
I
give Lamar and the rest of the guys a chance to make some comments and then ask some questions to our special guest.
I just want to throw one question out there. I want to see what I thank both you guys, Larry and Jason, for coming on tonight. I really appreciate
No
the
problem.
insight that you guys bring. But I got a question for Larry. I'm just kind of I'm challenged. I'm challenged. I have a daughter, and she's 19 years old. That's my
Ooh,
baby. heart.
Mm.
You know what I mean? She's in her second year in college. It's absolutely crazy.
Right,
Several
right.
states away, and
Ooh.
from the womb, she's had me wrapped around her finger. I'm trying to figure out how you so stern, because
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
I know.
I wasn't the stern. I wasn't the enforcer. I wasn't the disciplinarian. Not with my baby girl, man. That's my heart, and it's still hard to this day for me to even try to discipline her. How are you doing in this stern relationship that you?
I don't know. It seems like I'm bipolar because 1 minute I'm stern, like do this, do that. The next minute, come here, baby, I got you. We doing long walks in the park. It's hard, man. It's like I'm bipolar to it, But I gotta be in my house, man. I gotta be. I want to lay down the law, And it's not overboard, but I think I think she likes it, because when she has her temper times, when she goes crazy, and I walk in the room, she stops. So I know it's working, so it's hard though. But you have a 19-year-old, man. I'm ready for those steps. I'm not ready for those steps yet.
That might have been the smartest thing he said all night.
Lord. I try not to think about it,
There's a whole lot of old lords coming down the road, partner.
We just trying to keep them away from people like
I know, right?
like duct tape mania down there. Just we trying to do everything we can to keep them away from duct tape, man.
I'm fine.
How do you though?
That's a good point, Lamar. I think you raised a really good question, and I'd like to have the guest answer, but also the rest of the guys as part of the show answer this. Reggie and Fred and Murph and Cory. What do we say to our daughters at such an early age to keep them from all the crazy knuckleheads that we know that they're going to face? And if we're truthful, many of us was those crazy knuckleheads, Murph. You know what it was like in undergrad, right? We was acting crazy. And so what do we say? What do we say to our daughters early on to help them to protect from allowing that craziness, into their world?
We know the enemy well. We were undercover. We were the enemy at the time. And honest to God, you don't want guys doing what you did with your own dog. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that came out exactly the way it was meant, but you understand how I meant it. And I will tell you this: you want your daughters to be smart. You want them to believe that they're beautiful because they are. You want them to feel invincible. And you want them to not play like a girl, right? You don't want them to set their limits based on their sex. You don't want them to set any limits at all. If they want to go to the moon, they want to be an astronaut, that's within their reach. They need to believe that that's within their reach. But I can lay a story to you that involved my daughter when she was very young. and it's self-defense, basically. We bought a townhouse in a neighborhood that was preceded us by a family with a young boy who was maybe a year older than my daughter, maybe several months, but he was a boy and bigger. And they were around 3 and 4, something like that. But he was a roughhousing kid, and his parents didn't discipline him. They let him do whatever he wanted. And I couldn't very well discipline the kid because we had just moved into the neighborhood. So I was afraid this kid was going to injure my daughter the way he shoved her in. I was afraid one day he would shove her down some steps or do something where she would end up on the bottom end of some calamity, and everybody would just go, "Oh, my bad, we didn't see this coming," while I did the whole time. So I took my daughter aside and I said, tell this young man to stop if he starts to get forceful with you like that. If he starts doing things you don't like, say, for purposes limited, I'll say, James, stop it. James, stop it. And say it loud enough that an adult will hear you, right? Somebody should be put on the spot to do something. Stop it. I said, if nobody comes, pull out these bulldogs and go to town on him. Talk softly, be nice and gentle, but take no shit. And that needs to start early. Your kids need to have a high enough self-esteem that they know they don't need to be put in injurious situations. They don't need to be left someplace, taken to some party they didn't want to go to. Put your foot down in the parking lot, fight for your virginity and for your life when somebody can see it. And this is just a very personal and physical means of talking about what your question was. But you want your children to be invincible, and invincible from a self-esteem standpoint, from a self-worth standpoint, from from a responsibility standpoint to your parents who love you and whom you should respect, and from that foundation that you talked about, Larry, when you mentioned going to church or watching church on virtually, right? Wasn't that you who talked about that? You both have been talking about a foundation from the moment you started talking. It was age appropriate, but you're both talking about a foundation that you have to you have to pour out and let solidify, right? Before anybody wants to walk on it on their own. Meaning you kids, before they strike out on their own, you need to pour a foundation with all of the stuff, the rebar and all of the stuff. And this is the village who's among you, the right villagers that you have, the people who love you and care for you and your family and your children who will be the spokes in the wheel of their success. You know what I'm saying? So pour that foundation, let it marinate, let it solidify, and then one day your kids will walk on it and they will return to it when they have doubts, when they have peer pressure, when they on their way to some party where they don't know anybody, when they're in college and they haven't been to church for a while. You know what I mean? And they know I need to get up and go to the chapel and pray. You know what I'm saying? When they don't know what they're going to do or what decision to make about this boy, and you told them about what real friends should look like, right? And I think it was Jason who talked about even the friends who come around your family and around your child, right, need to be the type of person that will help lead to their success and who will even stop your child if they see going down the wrong path, right? You got to have friends who got your front and your back. So y'all have been talking about a great foundation, man. And you seem like brothers who other brothers need to be around, other young men. Pay it forward. The knowledge that you gained so far, pay it forward. As clueless as you may think you are right now at times, and as clueless as I promise you're going to feel years down the road, you're going to have a lot of oh Lord moments. Oh Lord, what is I'm going to tell you? Oh Lord, trust me, my daughter is 29, my son is 26. I just had my 33rd anniversary December 26th, so now I'm another couple months ahead of you idiots that I have to put up with every Tuesday.
Hey, so Murph, Cory, Reggie, and Lamar, what other things have you at least shared or have heard, when it comes to a young, impressionable mind of a young girl to withstand all the peer pressure that Fred talked about, to withstand all the knucklehead dudes that's going to be trying to come at her crazy, to withstand all the crazy girls in her class who are haters, who are talking about her hair, who's talking about her complexion, who's talking about her lack of athleticism or inability to be popular, right? There's all these peer pressure moments that she's facing when we're not around her. So what things have you shared with your daughters, Murph, Cory, growing up, Lamar, that has been helpful to help your daughters get through some of these rough times?
Hey, Jason, I wanted to share Larry and Jason. Man, I appreciate you guys sharing your story tonight, man. So I said last week, my daughter came. We created her, was helped her be creative, whatever. Like right when I finished my counseling program, so I kind of did everything that I learned in my counseling program to see if it would actually work, right? So the one thing I would share with you guys, because I just want to share something that I actually did, is I never said no to her. I can't remember too many moments where I said no to her. And Larry, Jason, I know that sounds crazy, but what I would do is I would go around the corner with her in the discussion about what would you get out of doing that behavior? How would that help everybody? How would that help us have fun today if you got to do this and no one else got to do that? I don't know how it would help people feel. How would that help people feel? So I would go take the circle around with her, but then what would happen is she would come up with her own conclusion. And I told Jay the other day, my favorite statement was, I will affirm the verb. So I always said that's what's up about the behavior she demonstrated. You know what I'm saying? So my daughter's 16 right now, and she's been her student body president every year so far. She's a junior. She only made one B, and it's a crazy thing. But I remember when she was real little, and we got her in athletics when she was like 3 or 4, and then we just went from there. Where, hey, when you kick hard like that, what does that do to your swimming? Hey, when you kick the ball like that, what does that do to? How does that help the team? And it just really became something different about her view of service and self. Because the only time I ever gave her a whooping, because I'll tear your ass up for real. The only time I had to get at you is if you put yourself in jeopardy. I'm gonna get at you, and I don't give a shit who see it. Let it be known I'm dad. You know what I mean? But because of that stern voice and heavy hand, but also the willingness to take the long road, I think it's been very supportive of her wanting stability in her life. You know what I'm saying? Like she can't make me mad. How the hell you gonna make dad mad? Because I control myself. I taught you to control yourself. Would you get out of not controlling yourself right now? Who you trying to blame? You know what I'm saying? And I help you own that shit. So and I will tell you that started early, Larry and Jason, and just never saying no to her. And then when I said it was over, that timeout shit was real. And if you talk to me while you're in timeout, I don't pay no attention to you. You get out of timeout, I'm putting you back in timeout, and we start the time all over again. And I did it with a smile on my face because you can't make me mad. I'm giving you discipline.
I believe that. Yeah, I'm the same way.
Go ahead.
I ain't playing Reggie.
Hey, you know, man. Let me just say this, man. I am convinced. First of all, Jason and Larry, man, welcome to the show. Hello to you, brothers.
Appreciate it.
I'm convinced the more I listen to Murph that he was a pimp back in the day. I'm convinced that Murph was a pimp. Like, listen, I'm gonna do some research on you, Murph. The way you just explained, I'm not gonna deal with your actions. I'm gonna deal with your mind. Boy, you was a pimp back in the day, boy. That's all I really wanted to say, man. I'm checking your swag, man. You was a pimp. And man, I appreciate it. The way you just worked that, the way you just articulated that and showed us. You had me thinking about how me drinking this coffee was helping the team. I don't want to drink coffee no more because I feel like it's not helping the team.
I got nothing.
So that's what that far out look was all about. The whole time you were just kind of staring off into space. You saw visions of him with a big ass purple hat on, like Rooster from Beretta.
Hey, I just have a stoic my philosophy on things is real logical, and like I try to do everything like that movie Fresh. I don't know if you ever seen that movie Fresh. That movie is about chess. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Check that movie. It's a movie. Right. So everything I used to talk to her about was like chess moves, and I'd be like, "So how is that going to help everything in a big picture?"
But that's parenting. That's good parenting. Discipline needs to not just be an ass whooping because I'm mad. Right. I never beat my kids' ass because I was mad. My children got a spanking because they earned it and they knew it was coming. I told them it was coming weeks before they got it. Most of the time, children don't need to get spanked because they make childish mistakes.
That's right.
Everybody's going to make a mistake. That's an opportunity to learn, right? If you dumb enough to keep doing the same dumb shit over and over, maybe you just got somebody who's got some problem. But when you tell a kid to do or not to do something, and they decide to do what they want to do instead, then that's willful disobedience, and you have an ass whooping coming.
Right.
Now, I'm not gonna spank nobody because I'm mad. That's not a legitimate reason to spank somebody. Shit, I get mad all the time. There's plenty of people at work I don't want to stab and gouge their eyes out, and they weren't patients. They was people I work with, you know. But I didn't do it. You know what I mean? But I'm saying you don't spank people in discipline folks because you're mad. You spank them when there's an opportunity for them to learn, and that's what I believe. What you're saying about the whole discipline thing coming from an intellectual standpoint, because kids they're going to have to make decisions. They're going to have consequences all of their lives, right? If you don't discipline and spank your kids, somebody else is going to be whipping their ass. And for black folks, a lot of times it's the police for black boys, and that leads to demise in a lot of cases.
We're going to talk about discipline in another show, but I just want to make sure we stay on topic tonight. Tell her she's pretty and all the good things about herself. Recognizing that her identity is very important, and that she gets that from us as men. Right? Go ahead, Murph.
I saw a question there. Someone said something about if you're a stepdad and that, and I believe like Fred was saying, and I know Lamar does the exact same thing. It is not about me being the dad. It is about me being a trusted male adult in your life. That I am going to be consistent. So if a kid they say, "Well, you ain't my daddy. You my stepdad," and I am a trusted adult in your life, and I will be consistent in your life and steady, as a man should be. You know what I'm saying? So I was trying to answer that. It ain't really about that biological or whatever. It's about my willingness to be consistent and stable.
Mm-hmm.
So I shut that shit down.
Eric. So I like how you said that, Eric. I have no children, right? So that's part of our future plans. But my wife's sister does have 3 girls, and 2 of them, they don't have their father in their life. So I really take my role as an uncle like very seriously. Like they always say, it takes a village anyway, right? So we pretty much babysit them once or twice a month, so they could have some time away from the house, help out her sister and stuff like that. So what you just said, Eric, is so powerful because I'm not their father. I'm not their stepfather. I'm their uncle. But I know that I'm setting an example. One is 3 years old. The other one is 7. The other one is 14, 12, excuse me. I know that the things that I say and don't say, and more importantly, the behaviors that I model, right? So how I treat my wife in front of them, how I speak to her, how I hug on her, how I love on her. The groceries are in the car. I go get them. I go grab gas. I go do these little things. I tell my wife I love her. I tell them that I love them. I tell them I believe them. I tell each of them that they're my favorite in front of each other. You know what I'm saying? I correct them when they're wrong. I teach them. For instance, one of them, the middle one, has a habit of comparison. So she'll see a house and she'll say, "Well, this house is bigger than this house. Or this car is bigger than this car." And I tell her, "Look, comparison is the death of joy." And I try to teach her like these small things at a young age so she can understand. So what you said is so powerful because literally every man in a young woman's life is teaching her lessons. And he's doing it verbally and non-verbally. And that's one of the things that I've heard is the best way to teach is by tell, show, try, do. So first you tell someone, then you do it, right? Then they try it, and then they'll actually be able to do it on their own. So we got to tell them, for example, like how you asked earlier, Jason, what should they be looking for in men? We got to tell them what to look for, the characteristics, but then next you have to show those characteristics. Because a lot of times we'll tell people, hey, this is what you should look for, but we don't model it. Or we might model it, but then we're not taking the time to articulate, hey, I'm doing this, but this is what I'm actually doing. So now you can look out for it.
Yeah, that's good, Reggie. That's really good. Larry and Jason, I want you to answer this question really quick, and then I want Lamar, Murph, and Reggie and Fred to kind of chime in at the end. It's just been a pleasure having you two as special guests on this show, man. Just y'all's insight. Larry, your daughter's 2. Jay, your daughter's 5. And so I'm curious if we just shift for a second, Larry, and talk about what happens when your daughter comes home. She's 6, she's 7, she's 8, and she tells you a counter narrative to everything you've told her about herself. You told her she's pretty. You told her she's smart. You told her she's intelligent. You told her she can achieve anything that she wants in life. And then she comes home and she tells you about these peers. She tells you about the boy in class or the girl in class or even the teacher who had low expectations for your daughter when you had high expectations for her? How do you have a conversation with your daughter about that counter narrative?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I think about that all the time, and I think that comes back to her friends as well. I'm gonna probably need some help with that. I don't think I can reinforce that myself. You know, I'm gonna probably need my wife. I'm gonna need her friends, her siblings to help out with that as well. But I think long as the foundation is strong, she knows where her support system is. She can come and ask for answers, and I'll be able to give them to her. But if she's out in that world, she's gonna be by herself. I just want her to be confident enough to be able to push that to the side, maybe just come home and tell me what happened instead of, saying, oh, I think I'm this way or, something like that. But I think long as the foundation is strong and I continue to be consistent, like the guy said, I think she'll be able to, take that information and throw it to the side. And that's what I want.
Yeah. Larry, you spend a lot of time with your daughter, man. I will say that I watched you with both your children, but your daughter especially. You know what I'm saying? When you're out and about, usually your wife has your son's hand, but you have your daughter's hand.
I keep her close, man.
Right.
Keep her close.
You spend a lot of time with her, and I think that probably also plays into what you're saying, setting that foundation. When she sees her father, right, she knows she sees truth. So if she's getting all this negative talk at school, maybe she's coming home and she's trying to get next to truth.
Yeah, for sure.
That's good. Jay, same question, Jay.
For me,
how do you
I'm not too really worried.
Man? Chelsea's coming home. She's like, "Look, man, this is crazy, pops. They told me I'm unattractive. They told me I'm not smart. But you've been telling me for all my life that I'm all these great things. How do you respond to that?"
Yeah, so I'm not too worried about Chelsea because she's a nut and she is so confident. If you tell her that, she'll be like, "No, I'm pretty. You just don't know it." Like she's just like her confidence is through the roof, and it's because how much we pour into her. I'm not worried about that. She'll be fine. And if you try to say something about her, she will fight you. That's just her naturally. She's not the one. You don't try her. That's who she is, and I know that already. So I just try to build her up through, telling her she's pretty and loving her and everything like that. But like everybody's been saying, what do you say to keep it from dudes like me, whatever and everything like that. The best thing to do is have that strong foundation and have that faith behind her that she knows who she is and what she's about. And she's going to have to learn to deal with stuff on her own, on how she's going to interact with people. I can't control that, but I can control how I teach her and how to instill confidence in her. And so when someone is kind of talking slide to her or whatever, she can be like, "Oh, okay, all right, yeah, no problem," and kind of be like, analyze how people are coming at her. But I'm not worried about my Chelsea because she's a fighter, and and especially don't say anything about me. She will try to cut you. She'll get a knife and try to cut you. Like she's not the one. Like
if she's cutting something,
I'm not worried at all about her. About
you carry a few blades, so you probably taught her that.
Yeah. Well, Jay, I ain't about that life. You better not touch mine, or I'm touching your whole. I'm touching your whole family. Everybody got to go, and you know that, Jay. So like, that's just how I go. But she knows.
Yeah, that's a great point, Gary. And Reggie,
but she got uncles too.
That the comparison was what you say, Reggie? Comparison was the death of joy. Yeah, that was a great counter narrative, Reggie. I'm glad you mentioned that. And as Jason and Larry mentioned, just what they do. I'm curious, Lamar, Murph, Fred, and Cory, what has been your counter narrative, man, to your daughters when they've come home and they say, "Hold on, Pop, everything you've been telling me my whole life, now I got these people at school telling me something different. I got my teachers at school telling me something different, and this boy that I like, he telling me something different." Right. So how have you addressed that counter narrative?
Well, I've been blessed that I never really had to deal with that side. I mean, I've really been blessed. But one of the things that I've always done was always reaffirm. And actually, I had to believe everything that I was saying to her for her to believe, for her to
Wow.
believe it. So, because oftentimes we say things that are just empty words, but you have to be the one that believe in what you're selling and what you're trying to instill in them. And then once you believe it, then they'll believe it, and you don't have to worry about anything at all. One of the things that I've told my daughter when she was younger, I said, you don't have to compete with anybody. You don't have to compete with anybody because you're the best at everything. You're the best. You're the most beautiful in this room. You're the most talented in this room. You're the smartest in this room. You don't have to compete with anybody at all because I believe you're the best. And all you have to do is keep putting that into them. And that right there builds that confidence. Once they build their own self-confidence, man, they're unstoppable. I mean, right now, Jay, you watch my baby girl, she'll get on the court with us.
Oh, she's a standout athlete, man. But Lamar, to the point that you made was so powerful when you said that you believed it first. Yeah. And I remember being on the court with you and your daughter, man, when she was 7, 8, 9, trying to get the ball through the hoop, and you believed in her before she believed in herself. Yeah, that's powerful, bro. And now she's a standout athlete in college. She hooping. She started on her basketball team. I mean, she's a phenomenal athlete.
Man, listen, full ride scholarship to a top 25 school in this country, man. I can't beat it. D1, hey.
Yeah.
I can't ask her for anything more.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely wonderful. And it started when she was yay big. Yeah. And I was scared to discipline her, but when she got a little bit older to be disciplined, we did it on the court. That's where the discipline came in, because she developed that love for the same thing that I love, because she saw how much that I loved it. She saw how much her bigger brother loved it. So therefore, she began to gravitate towards it because she wanted to be with the fellas. She wanted to hang out with us. She wanted to be around dad. She wanted to be around big brother. So she developed her own game on skates in the basement.
Wow.
So when mom was pushing her down one road, she was creating her own.
Right. Lamar.
Yeah.
She was creating her own road. Because I ain't never seen nobody dribble a basketball between their legs, behind their back, patting it down all crazy in the basement on some roller skates. And once I saw that, I said, well, baby, you can hang with me at any time. You dress on, you ain't got to do all of that. But I'm telling you, the flyest, daintiest, cutest little thing on the court, pull her head back, fine as all outdoors, and get out there and cross you up and drop a 3 in your face like it ain't nothing, because she developed those skills when she was younger, that confidence when she was younger. I mean, I loved it, man. I absolutely loved it, being able to just tell her, yeah, you're precious. Tell her, you're worth being loved.
You're worth
being loved.
That's powerful.
Man, wait to attack that counter narrative, Lamar.
That's real good, man. I got it.
Believed in it first before she did. That's powerful. Go ahead, Cory, jump in, and then Murphy.
Yeah, Lamar, man, for the first time you said something that I can actually believe in. So that was pretty good, man.
Oh my God.
Hey, listen, man, I apologize, man. I'm still caught up in the emotions of discovering that Eric was a pimp back in the day. But anyway, no, seriously, man, one thing that I had to do with my daughter at a very young age, she wanted to be a model. And I'll never forget this particular story. She went to a casting call, and JCPenney's rejected her. And she just really wanted to do JCPenney's, and they rejected her. And I said something to her that, for those that are listening, it may seem a bit arrogant, but I was trying to instill something in her, a level of confidence that would supersede any negativity that she heard. I said, baby, let me tell you something. They're telling you no today, but one day you'll be able to tell them no.
Yeah.
They're saying no to you today, but one day they'll tell you no. And I told her a story, and I said, I remember that when I was coming up and I was in school, I didn't really have a lot of friends. I tried my best to fit into certain crowds, but I discovered along my journey that eagles don't run in packs, and that you won't always be accepted by everybody. Everybody won't always think you're great and think you're awesome and think you're beautiful. And that's okay, because people are entitled to their opinion. But the most important opinion is the opinion that you have of yourself. And that has to come from you, number one, realizing who God said that you are. And it's so important for fathers to affirm their daughters and to let them know, if they don't accept you, I accept you. If they don't appreciate you, we appreciate you, that you are beautiful, that you are talented. And then I told her, Fred, I said, you know, a lot of the people that made fun of me in the early 90s now apply to work for me.
Man, you talking good.
See, the Bible says that the first shall be the last and the last shall be the first. And so sometimes you have to understand that rejection is really direction. That when people don't accept you, sometimes they're doing you a favor, because maybe that need to be accepted may pull you into something that you can't easily get yourself out of.
Wow.
And so it's okay to stand by yourself. It's okay to look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that you're pretty. It's okay to look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that you are smart, because you are smart, and that you're wonderfully and marvelously made. And so the celebration to that story, Jason and Larry, is that though she did not get accepted by JCPenney, my daughter has her own fashion line now, has been featured in several magazines, has stuff being sold in malls, and they're in stores that are more high end than JCPenney. And I told her, I said, what you must understand is this is a small example that when God allows people to reject you in this season, that is not an indication of the success that you'll have in the next season. And so every single day I tell my daughters that they're beautiful. I got this thing, if you guys watch me, I tell them that all of them are my favorite kid, that you're my favorite child. I love you. You're amazing. You're smart. And when you fail, in every failure is a seed of success. Every time you fail, there's a seed of success. And so you got to learn to get up. And difference between me and you, Lamar, is my girls, man, which is quite a disappointment, Lamar. My girls don't have a athletic bone in their body. I'm talking about volleyball, kickball, tennis, soccer, nothing. They barely know how to wash dishes good.
That's all right, bro. I know that's a God, though, because you
You're gonna be all right. You can be all right. Listen, I had to tell my baby girl, pick something. She was doing too many things, from going from the cute girl in the dance class to being on a basketball court to now she want to do softball. Now she want to flip around and play volleyball. Just multi-talented, and that's where she was. She was just so athletic. She just did her thing and excelled in every sport.
So I'm going through something, and maybe you guys can help me with this. I'm going through something, Jason, with my 15-year-old right now, man. She's been accepted to, Eric, there's a school in Houston called HSPVA. It's the High School for Performing Arts. And so she's entered into this school as a freshman. It's the same school Beyonce went to. She was accepted to Booker T, where Erykah Badu went to. It's a performing arts school. You got to audition to get in. Well, she's gotten in, and now she's going through this phase, Jason, where she feels like she's not talented enough to be there. She feels like, when she goes to do Zoom classes, everybody's smarter than her or better than her. And, she's kind of going through that phase right now where it's like, I'm in school with seniors and they so much better than me, and I try to, coupled with the fact that she's not actually in school, but she's doing everything virtual. So it is a challenge. And so for me, I'm having to always encourage her and tell her how smart she is and how beautiful she is. She's been singing and doing plays her whole life. Larry, for the first time, she didn't even want to audition. She was so intimidated by the talent that she wouldn't even audition this year. And so more than me speaking a lot on this, I really want to listen to how you guys lift your daughters up, because I'm in that pocket right now of trying to figure out a way to encourage my 15-year-old that you're everything that God called you to be.
This is what I did. This is what I did, Cory. I want to say 8th or 9th grade. My baby girl, eighth grade. My baby girl played in the national AAU championship down in Florida. Right, by 8th grade national AAU championship. She owned the champ. She played in two different age brackets. One was a lower bracket, which they went through and did the thing on that lower bracket, won everything, and then went up and played on the higher bracket with the older girls. And she was, playing, but she wasn't getting as much time as she needed to get or that she wanted and desired to get. And all I said, baby, just wait your turn. Keep going at it. That was when I ended up being like Larry, and I had to be that stern guy just a little bit. I had to be that stern guy just a little bit. And then, she waited her turn. She waited her time. She had to, sitting on the bench behind a couple other girls, and she just kept going to the court every day, because she said, you know what? That confidence thing started to kick in. And then she started to be like, you know what? I'm better than them, and I'm gonna prove it.
Good.
I'm better than them, and I'm going to prove it. And I told her, I was like, you had to stay on them and keep telling them you are better. You can do this. This is something that you can accomplish.
Can I ask you a question, Lamar? Dr. Staples, let me ask you a question, and for Fred as well, because as you're sitting there talking, I'm thinking, my confidence, Reggie, in athletics didn't come from a father telling me I could. It really came from a place of me trying to prove to him that I'm worth him spending time with. So I wasn't wired. I didn't grow up with people telling me that I was great. It was an internal fortitude that I had to prove to you that I'm good enough, even though you never came to any games, even though you were never in any college games. I wanted to be great for you to regret not being there for me. But on the flip side, I'm very present with my children. And it's like with my 15-year-old, it is just, she's just going through that phase, man, where she just doesn't feel like she's enough, and she's beautiful. I'm sorry. You go ahead, man.
Hold on.
Check this out, man.
Hold on. Before you jump in, I want you guys to answer that question because it's going to be a really powerful transition. But I want to just thank Larry and Jason really quick for being our special guest today. Before Larry and Jason, you guys head out, I do want you to share with us one of your most fondest memories of your daughter when you have affirmed her, when you said something to her that just lit her whole entire world up. Talk about one of those most fondest memories that you can remember. Larry, we'll start with you, and then Jason, you'll wrap up, man. But it's just been a pleasure having you both on the show tonight, man. Just really talking to the team, just really about affirming our daughters, telling her she's pretty, and every other good thing she needs to know about herself.
I think I said she's pretty so much that whenever she gets her hair done now, she's only 2. Whenever she gets her hair done now, she knows she's pretty now. Just her mannerisms now, like she knows it now. It's crazy to see that, man. Like to see that look in her eyes, to know that she's pretty now because she has her hair done. And we'll get her hair done and it'll last a week or 2, depending on how she sleeps and stuff. But when it's fresh, she knows it. It's crazy. And when you say you look nice, you look pretty, she, her mannerism is crazy. She's only 2. Yeah. I can't imagine when she gets 16, man. I don't know how to handle it. I wouldn't know how to, man. I don't know.
She already knows it too, man. That's great.
She knows it at 2. Yeah,
that you started this early, man. I love how you said that her whole world lights up. And something that Lamar said earlier too, man, when he was kind of commenting on something that Cory had posed, Larry, is when she knows it to be true, she ain't even listening to all the noise.
No.
She ain't even listening to it, man.
She knows
it's true.
She knows.
I appreciate that, Larry. Jay, go ahead, man. It's one of the most fondest memories, man, that you can remember of your daughter, you sharing something that just positively affirmed her entire world just lighting up.
Sure. So she's swimming. She's a swimmer. And so she's been swimming since she was about 3. And she would only go like halfway or a little bit until her feet can't touch, and then she doesn't want to go anymore to the deep end. So one day, her coach was just like, swim. And she was just like, okay. And then she tried to stop, and he kept telling her, no, keep going. You got to finish your drills and do da. And she swam the length of the pool at 3 years old.
Mm.
And she came back. She was like, "Daddy, I swam the whole pool." I was like, "Yeah, dog." I was psyched. I was like, "Yeah, dog, you did." She was just like, "Yeah." And she was like, "I can't wait to show Nana and Papa when we go to Florida and swim in their pool." I'm like, "Okay, sure." And so when we got to Florida July 4th, she was just like, before we got off the plane, we got in the house, and then she was just like, "I want to go to the pool and show 'em." I was like, "All right." And so she jumped in the pool and she swam the whole pool. Mind you, it's only an 8 foot deep pool. So, but the other one was like an Olympic style pool, and so she swam that, but she swam the other one like it was nothing. And my mom can't swim, and so she was like had tears in her eyes. She's like, "My grandbaby can swim." I'm like, "Mommy, chill out." Like she you know, she can swim and everything. But I was just so proud of her. She was just so confident, and she was just like, "I did it. You know, Dad, I did." I was like, "I told you could do it," because she was scared. She told me she was scared. I was like, "Dude, fear is just in your mind. You know, you just gotta get through it. You be all right." And she was just like, "Okay, yeah." But thanks for having me, Jay. I appreciate you. You know, I appreciate all you brothers. Hopefully, one day when this COVID thing is gone, but I don't know this new strain, I'm gonna be in the house for a minute. But you know, I'll grab a beer. You know what I'm saying? If y'all don't drink, you know what I'm saying? Get you a seltzer water or something, just kick back and kick. Yeah, man. I appreciate all y'all.
Appreciate the invite, fellas.
Yeah, Larry, Jason, it's been a pleasure, man, having you both on the show, man. And you know, from all of us, we just appreciate you being strong black men. Again, breaking the stereotype that black men don't raise children, especially that black men don't raise daughters, man. And just to really hear, Larry, you talk about you being stern and how important that is even for children, because they need structure, right? They just can't get away with everything. And it's hard as fathers, because we hear from Murph, we hear from Lamar talk about how hard it is to say no to their daughters, man. And so I just appreciate hearing that perspective of providing structure in your household. And Jay, man, it's just great. You know, your daughter's 5, man, and she's smart as a whip. And so I've learned from you, man, the importance of reading, right? And the importance of reading to your daughter. And so my daughter's just, man, she's just 7 weeks old. And so I've got tons of books in here because I recognize how important it is to read. She smiles while I'm reading, and she probably don't know what the heck I'm talking about, but I know that's that foundation that we've all been discussing for the rest of the night. So grateful to have you, Larry.
Yeah. And also, no problem, Jack. No baby talk. Regular talk. It'll help her. Trust.
That's it. All right, Larry.
All right, love y'all, man. Easy.
Take care, guys.
Godfather too.
Oh yeah. You got to come over and read to it.
I know. I got you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
All right, fellas. Cory, man, that was a great question you posed, man. It was a great transition. I think the last 30 minutes that we have on the show, man. And Murph was about to jump in, and this dude has guns blazing. I mean, he couldn't wait to answer this question. It's like he was in the class, you know. Like
me and Murph was ready. Just get it.
Yeah. Murph, go ahead, man. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're muted, Murph. You're muted, bro.
Hey, Jason, can we mute Fred?
All right. Y'all scared me. Because I forgot what I was going to say, honestly. So I did.
That's all right. I was going to say something.
I can jump in there. I'm gonna jump in there. Let me jump in there. Come on. You know.
There's one thing I want to say. I want to illuminate something that y'all said that was kind of smart. First of all, Cory is evidence of God because he said something that made sense like 10 minutes ago, and I almost did the 2-step. But what I want to illuminate though was that one thing that everybody has hit on was that this is an ongoing process. You know, confidence comes and it goes. My son told me when he was like 6 or 8 that he wanted to be a professional baseball player, wanted to be a major leaguer. And I said, really? Looking down at him, I said, what makes you think you can be a professional baseball player? He said, because I got confidence. And I said, well, that's great to have. That's a great starting point. But confidence comes and goes. And I think everybody here has at least illustrated some moment where their kid, even though they were confident, lost it. Lamar's child had to wait on an opportunity. And Cory, your kid had gotten to the point in her career in art that she met either her peers or people who were more advanced than her, right? So along the way, we need to parent our kids in such a way that we understand the buttons to push that get them to stick their chest out,
That's
to
good.
throw their shoulders back, brush the dirt off their shoulders. But we need to know our kids that well, and the only way to do it is to be involved in a very granular way, so we know what their interests are, so we know as much about their interests as possible, so that we can talk to them and speak to them in an intelligent way about what their pursuits are, with interest, to let them know that we have the knowledge in what they do and what they love, that we can weigh in an intelligent way, and they can have confidence in what we say, right? So you have to be that involved. You just can't kick back and half-ass watch what they do and then try to convince them that they do it well. You have to be involved in an intimate way. My son plays baseball.
What about your daughter, man? We talking about daughters.
I'm just trying to give you an example of telling somebody, pushing a button that gives them confidence. I'll give you an example that concerns my daughter. She's a competition cheerleader, right? She would come to me and do her routines and show them to me in a way that just pretty much illustrated the moves, right? I know she can do better than that. I've seen her perform. I'm as interested in what you do as I am in what my son does on the baseball field, right? Everybody wants to talk about what he does as professionally as a baseball player, but that's no more important to me than what you're doing on the cheer stage when we travel all across the country for you to be in these competition cheer programs. So don't just show me the routine as if I'm disinterested. I want to see it pop. Everybody has seen the commercial with the guy, those boys, they're all too much. And he's doing this cheer thing with his daughter. And the lady looks out the window. All she sees is this big black guy doing this cheer thing. But he's selling it because he's trying to get his daughter to sell it.
Show me the moves again, Fred.
The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. He gave us strong and mighty. He gave us.
Hey, we got to go ahead, Lamar.
Hey, I already had a thorn in my side, and then where he come from?
Lord have mercy. So what I would do, Cory, and your situation, you have no clue how our stories are so much alike. Yeah. It's crazy. Even though my dad was there, he was never present. So I spent so much time trying to do things to get his attention. So I had to build stuff inside of myself to build me up so that I can prove to him that I was able to do it. Yeah. And what I end up doing is the same stuff that I had to build inside of myself, I had to then give my daughter, had to give my son. Yeah. So the same stuff that let me see if I can put this the right way so it makes sense and Fred to be happy. Give her what you never received.
Right.
Give her what you never received. If you focus on giving her what you never received, that confidence on the inside will begin to grow because you had to build that yourself. Now she has an advantage point because she has you.
Right.
So she don't have to learn it by herself. She got you. So all you have to do is now say, you know what? Let me show you how I learned this, and I'm gonna give you what I never got. Right. But I'm gonna give you the help through it. I'm gonna help you through this thing. That you ain't got to do it by yourself.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. Yeah.
Real good.
Yeah. Reggie, talk a second, Reggie, man, because you mentioned being an uncle, man. I think that's a beautiful thing, and all of us are fathers on the show, and we all know that yours is coming. I mean, it's on the way, bro. It's on the way. You're right. But I think God is allowing you to have some great practice as an uncle, man.
So. That's definitely one of the intentions too, is to not just be present in their lives, but get some practice. You know what I'm saying? It throws a whole nother element into it. When thinking about Cory's question, the thing that comes to mind when it comes to confidence is our self-talk, because we always, I know a lot of you brothers always talk about the word, and there's power, life, and death in the tongue. And when the words come out of her mouth, I'm not confident, or I don't believe that I can do this. The first thing that comes to mind is like you have to address it like right there. Like you can't miss that opportunity to nip it in the bud, because if she's said that to you one time verbally out loud, she's probably said that to herself 1,000 times.
Wow, that's good, Reggie. That's good.
So, and I could speak from being very confident for the majority of my life, and it's played a big part of my business. And knowing that downtimes in my business, like, yes, there are highs and lows in business, but big part of it is just lacking self-confidence from negative self-talk that I allowed to grow. Just like how we hear weeds don't need positivity to grow. It just takes neglect. So you're not paying attention to the little words. Well, I don't think I could do this, or I don't feel like it, or, I don't believe in myself. I don't think this is going to work out. All those little things, all those little words start to add up. So I'll just say, taking that time to just address it right then and there, and then equipping her with the tools that she can learn it on her own and do it on her own, because you are her father and you're going to be present in her life, but you're not going to be there every second of the day.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Reg, let me say this, because I think all of us on here are athletes or former athletes. And I think one of the issues, and I didn't mean to turn this into a Cory counseling session, but I respect you guys' opinion. One of the issues that I had to kind of navigate through is that because I play sports, when my coaches spoke to me, it activated that confidence, it activated that let's go get it. But that doesn't always work with your daughters. And so, finding that balance of, I think his name was Larry that was just on here, that firmness and that aggressiveness mixed with the nurturing, loving side. Yes, baby, you can do it. Because Reggie, when you said that, instantly in my mind, I was looking at my daughter saying, hey, what we don't do in this house is talk about what we can't do. What we don't do as a Hughes, we don't talk about what we can do and what we can accomplish. But girls are sensitive, and sometimes they don't respond to that type of aggression. Yeah. And so it's finding the balance of trying to encourage them, but then not be too firm with them the way we would be with our boys. And I know that some of you guys have boys and girls. Fred, Eric, how did you guys handle motivating your sons versus motivating your daughters who may be on their cycle, who going through their preteen stage, and you're just trying to figure out why they don't want to talk about it, why they want to be shut up in their room, and then you say something to them and they crying, and you're like, well, what the hell did I say? And so I want to learn, what did you guys do?
I started to reference my son because there was a moment in time where what I knew about him would have benefited the way I would have talked to my son the same way. Got to know what buttons to push, but there is a very delicate balance. And I will tell you this, whoever the woman is in your life, that's going to be the ultimate resource for real, because she's going to tone down your verbiage, right? And use that person, and hopefully you will have somebody who's close to you. And surely we all have maybe a mother left, an aunt, a good friend, somebody at work, somebody in your church. There's got to be somebody who you can trust, female, to help you tone down your language.
Got you.
But find that person who loves and cares about you and your daughter. Help you tone down your language. I mean, we speak so bluntly, so frankly. That's not what young girls need to hear along the way in their life. And guys, I'll tell you what, one thing that we've said, and I don't know if we realize we've said it, is that I try to speak to the fact that along the way, we're going to have to make these adjustments and give this encouragement to our girls. And we're going to have to do it a different way about 4 or 5 times. I mean, the young man with the 2-year-old is going to have to do it one way. The brother with the 5-year-old is going to have to do it one way. You don't have to worry about it yet, Jason. Lamar, you got a 19-year-old. Cory, you got 2 kids. One is older, girls, and Murphy. I'm telling you, along the way, your parenting style is going to have to change because your kids are changing, right? So you have to communicate with them in a different way. So each time you have to find the way to motivate them. And with girls, it's going to be women who can recall what they went through at each of those stages in their lives, right? So they know when a girl's 5, 6, 7, and 8 and pushing a boy because she likes him. You know, girls outgrow boys for a little while. Then all of a sudden at 12 and 13, she's dealing with peers, getting peers, dealing with boys in a whole different way. Not confident, approaching middle school, not confident because the girls are bigger. They know more about makeup. They're more savvy and more socially alert and this kind of stuff. Boys are paying more attention to them. They're still confused, don't know what to do. They get a little bit older. Now all of a sudden they got to make decisions about sex. Are they really pretty? Does this guy really want them because they're pretty or because they're smart? Because they just want to get in their pants or what? They got to worry about college. There's all these different ways, all these different stages in their lives that we have to communicate with them. But hopefully, I'm telling you, the same way you warn your daughter about what little boys want when they're 10, 13, 15, 18, 21, that's what your significant other, best girlfriend, whomever can help you remember. Because she remembers about girls and she can help you make your language specific to that age bracket of your child.
Fred, that's a great point, man. Toning down our language. I like that. Murphy, jump in, man. You've been quiet tonight, brother. I know you got some stuff
I'm
to
just
say.
taking it all. I'm just taking it all in. It's just good stuff tonight. I think that my wife used to say I was kind of like a Vulcan, like from Star Trek or some shit. Because I kept I just kept using logic on everything. And my daughter was an athlete. We had her involved in sports while she was like 4 years old, but also had her doing, academic stuff. And I just always used to think, yes, I don't even know how to explain this. Like, it was always like helping her process the situation and what was the outcome that she was trying to have and what was she putting into the equation. So it became really not emotional, but I got to combine this with something because I'm wondering why can't I really process this with you guys? I think it really has something to do with like my dad. So just share this. 9 years ago, my dad passed away. During that time, I was still doing this therapist thing, right? So I'm still involved in it. So I do a Tuesday with Maury with my dad. Every weekend I come in town, lay in bed with dad, talk to him about death, talk to him about Tupac being in heaven, blah, blah, blah. Just having a real conversation. My kids, now we're forced to do it, but they would be sitting in the bed with me talking to dad about the fact that he was about to transition. That as he celebrated life, we're going to celebrate the transition towards death. And it is going to happen. And dad's sitting right there when we're talking about it, right? So from that point, I used to talk to them about the celebration, the process from the very beginning. How can I affirm the verb? The verb in this is the process of life. That is the same process I've been talking to them about forever. So when it comes down to talking to Mikey about being beautiful, I have told her forever, and this sounds crazy, Fred, don't judge me, but I've been telling her forever, you ordinary. I'm ordinary, you ordinary. And you are uniquely, you're unique. You will create something amazing, but it's about your action. You being a human, you're a beautiful human. What is your action going to be?
That's an embrace of humility. I appreciate that, actually.
Bro, you know what I'm saying? Because she's been cute. She's been athletic. She's been super thick. I mean, I can't even front. My daughter is a beautiful little person. That ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? It's about your actions. And I'm not even going to put emotion into it. What is the equation, the outcome that you want to have happen? How will you honor yourself?
Strangely, you tell me not to judge you, but I actually agree with you to a great extent. Shut up, Cory.
No, listen.
No,
listen, Fred. You said something.
think I'll probably not wrap too tight. That's
No. First of all, we don't think that you're not wrapped too tight. We've all come to agreement that you're not. But it's okay. We accept your loose wrap. We accept the wrap and the duct tape. I'm sorry. Eric just said something. Eric just said something that made me remember something. And today marks 7 days that I buried my father. Oh, yeah, December 29th, 2013, we buried my dad. And yeah, I don't know why, but when you start talking about laying in the bed with your dad, it just dawned on me like, oh yeah, I buried my dad 7 years ago. And I did his eulogy, and it was probably one of the toughest things that I've ever had to do. Because the confidence that I have, you know, as we talked about, that I try to give to my children, I had to fabricate that confidence. I had to create that because my father wasn't around. And I had to try to, you know, the aura of arrogance that some people in my past may have thought it was, they didn't really understand that it was really a defense mechanism, because I was having to fill a void that I so appreciate that you men don't create in your children. You don't create that void in your children. I really wanted to tell the guys before they got off, the two guests, thank you for raising healthy daughters. But thank you all for raising healthy children, because healthy children become healthy adults and they begin to make healthy decisions for our future. And but people like myself, we have to get healthy later. And I just had a very deep conversation with my son that he had experienced some things in life that I experienced. And, you know, long story short, man, I just think it's important for anybody watching, talk to your kids, protect your kids, love on your kids, encourage your children, because those children one day become adults that will make decisions for you.
Yeah.
And so I think it's extremely important. Yeah, that's it, man. I'm just prompted that thought there. Yeah. So.
Hold on, so get ready to close out, because we only got a few minutes. I do want to bring some continuity just to today's conversation. We talked about tell her she's pretty and all the good things that we said. Learning to affirm your daughter, learning to help her to address the counter narrative when she's told things that have nothing to do with the truth that she hears at home, how to deal with that. And I'm glad that we had, you know, the fellas tonight say things like, you know, Lamar mentioned, hey, I had to believe it before she believed it. Like, that was super powerful. Like, I'm gonna hold on to that for the rest of my life. Like, if whatever I tell my daughter, if I don't believe it first, she's not gonna believe it. And so I think understanding what that counter narrative has to be, because we like Reggie said, we're not going to be around our children 24/7. So we need to be able to insulate them enough so that when they go out into the world, they're insulated. They don't have no holes, no cracks. They don't have any way for air to get into a really tight space, because we've already protected them from that. So next week, we're going to dive into the toddler years. We've talked a little bit about being in the delivery room. We talked about affirmations when, you know, your daughter is in her first couple of years. But next week, man, that 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-olds, right before they go to school, like how to deal with the changing personalities of your daughter. And Fred, I'm glad you mentioned earlier when you talked about it changing at every stage. At a few months old to a few years old to middle school to teens, it changes. And so we need to hear next week. This will be probably one of the biggest changes from a newborn child to a toddler year, how you make that adjustment. How do you not always give in when you want to give in, right? How do you provide that structure? And so we'll discuss that next week. But before we wrap up, I want Lamar to kind of close us out as he always does so eloquently. This brother takes notes. If there's anybody who takes notes on our shows every week, Dr. Walter Lamar Staples takes notes. This is why he closes us out, because he knows what we discussed all night. We run off on tangents. We talk about stories. And Lamar always brings us back in, man, and helps us to remember, you know, how we started is how we end. So, Lamar, go ahead and close us out.
Hey, how do you define eloquent?
Dr. Staples, man. I mean,
really, you gonna do
that? Right in the dictionary, next to the word is his picture.
Cory, come on.
My bad, Fred. My bad, Fred. All right, go ahead, Dr. Staples. Go ahead, Walter.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I just still need to do my taxes too. Thank you. I'm still waiting on
taxes.
I need my taxes. You the tax guru. I need my stuff done.
I'm in the tax mind frame now. Let's go.
I'm trying to get a stimulus check.
Me too. Too bad.
But I'm so thankful for everybody that joined tonight, man. And everybody's comment was absolutely amazing. Dealing in the area of raising daughters. I mean, that's one of the toughest things to really do. And there's not a whole lot that I can really compound on the things that were said today. I believe that one of the most important things that I've ever done for my daughter was expose her to something better than me. I had to begin to expose her to some things that are better than me, because I'm not anything. I'm not just as you say, a filthy rag. That's who I am. I'm not the best at anything. I just try my best to be the best for her and be the best for my kids. So my thing is, I wanted to introduce her and try to show her and expose her to something better than me. Because whoever she ever decides to get connected to, at the end of the day, they have to be better than me. Because if they're not better than me, they're not enough for her. If they're not better than me, they're not enough.
They're not enough.
They're not enough. They're not enough for her. And always, fellas, definitely make sure that we always keep the line of communication open with our kids, especially our sons and our daughters, man. We got to definitely make sure we keep those lines of communication open, and then reaffirming everything that we put in them. Because once we begin to reaffirm those things, because there will come those highs and there will come those lows, but everything that we put in them, we have to go back oftentimes and reaffirm those same things that we put in them. Like I said, there's some oftentimes attitude adjustments that need to be made. Attitude adjustments sometimes have to be, especially in those teenage years, when the emotions are going all crazy and cycle starts and all of these things they're starting. There are some times when some attitude adjustments need to be made. That's some stuff we're just not going to accept because your stomach hurt. Don't think you're gonna give me attitude because your stomach hurt. I ain't did nothing to you. It ain't my fault. So sometimes you got to go through those stages as well. But even being stern and even being firm, also be loving. Because I'm the same one to say, you ain't gonna give me that attitude, but baby, let me run down here and get these pills. You need me to go to the store? What you need me to get out of the store? Do I need to go pick up this? Do I need to go pick up that? I'm gonna be that same guy. Where a hot water bottle at? You know what I mean? Where the heat pad at? I'm gonna do all of that. And if I need to lay down beside her, I'm gonna lay down beside her. And do all those things and reaffirm that I love you, but I'm just not gonna take this mess just because you're going through. I'm gonna be there with you while you go through.
That's right.
I'm gonna be there with you while you go through. And if I can just leave anybody with anything tonight, be the support system that they need.
Yeah.
From infant just being born all the way through 20, 30, 40 years old.
Yeah.
Be that same support system. I wrote a post earlier today and I said, bruh tired. That's what I put. That was on Instagram. I said, bruh tired. That's what because I'm tired because I'm working all the time. Bruh tired. But then I also put behind that, I'm still working because one day I won't be able to work.
Willing to run all the way.
Be able to work. And if I'm not able to work, what I put in them
Wow.
will then turn around.
That's good.
And they will see how I did them now and begin to take care of me in my next season.
That's good.
That's
real, bro.
Yeah, that's powerful.
I leave y'all with that.
Yeah.
Always reaffirm, always tell them you love them, always tell them that they're wanted, always tell them that they're worthy of love, always tell them that they are so loved and they are so precious, especially little girls. They are so precious. They are so beautiful. They got a beautiful heart, mind, body, soul, absolutely gorgeous. And I believe that the most important thing that we ought to tell our daughters is very simple, is that you are enough.
Wow.
Simple.
Hey, man, I got to get my daughter a shirt made that just says that you are enough.
Simple.
I want to get my man. What was the cat's name? Whose daughter? Who was he was teaching to be a foodie? Introducing her to all the different foods and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Jason.
Jason. She's 5. His daughter.
What was his name?
Jason.
His name was Jason.
Yeah, Jason. I I want to get his daughter a shirt that says "Try pork chops." He was talking about like escargot, and I had all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But you got to try some collard greens, some egg bones. You got to try some hog maws, some pinto beans, some Philippine beans.
All of that stuff. Let me leave y'all with something real deep. Because Jason ain't asked me this question. He ain't asked me this question. But I'm gonna just throw this out there, and then we're gonna, maybe lead this into the next session next week. And I was trying my best not to cry halfway through this session because you start thinking about all the things that is really going on. He asked the fellas, what is the most memorable moment, most precious moment that they have with their daughters.
Yeah.
My most memorable moment with my daughter, when my daughter wrote me a letter and absolutely destroyed me in the letter.
Jesus.
She said, and I quote, she learned more from my mistakes. My mistakes helped groom her not to make mistakes. So all the stuff that I thought that I was, she killed everything I thought I was. But that's my most memorable, most precious moment because that right there changed me. That made me look at things different.
Mm-hmm.
So she put me in front of me and said, I learned not to do this because that's what you are.
So, wow, Jesus. I wanted to say something, but that was heavy.
Absolutely killed me. I'm talking about I wasn't good for months, and I still ain't all the way right. But that moment right there was a transition moment in my life.
Yeah.
To make sure that I don't repeat the same cycle and showing her things that I shouldn't show her and thinking that I'm bigger than what I really am.
Right. That's deep.
That's good.
Brother.
Like you said, transition into next week. We're gonna go. It's 9:00. No, but I'm glad you mentioned that, Lamar. I think that there are stories leading into next week. Cory, Murph, and Fred, Reggie will have to talk about things that we may have learned in that season of raising a toddler. I'm not there yet, but things that you have learned that maybe now you wish you would have done differently, right? I think it's so important for us to talk about all the good things, but also importantly to address all the bad things that we may have done and that we should have done differently, because there's a lot of cats who are listening. There are a lot of single moms who are listening. There are a lot of new parents who are listening, and they're needing to know what things should I refrain from, what things should I do more of, right? And this is why we have this show. So, gentlemen, I appreciate y'all. Next week, same time, man. Part 3 is called The Toddler Years. We got an 8-part series.
Look at Cory over there having a moment. You all right, man?
Hey, man, I'm going to tell you something, bro. Like, I had such a hellacious day that this was refreshing that I don't even want to end. My day was so busy with taxes and trucks and just so much other stuff I had dealing with, man, that I look forward to this and I'm like, damn, we got to go.
Right.
But it was really good. I needed it, man. And I know we got to stay the schedule, man. So it's all good.
Yeah, it's
Get out.
90 minutes go by fast, man. I mean, I feel like we just got on. So,
yeah, no, man. And I didn't even get a chance to ridicule. I didn't get a chance to ridicule Fred the way I normally do, man. I think that's why
You don't remember that? You did.
Did I?
Yes, you did.
Well, I didn't feel satisfied.
I'm not trying to be you might need to go off and be private and go ahead and light yourself a candle or something other. And don't forget your duct tape.
Hey, y'all brothers, be safe, man. Get home safely. We'll see you.
All right,
man. Blessings, y'all, man. All right.
All right, brothers.